Good Tuesday morning, guys, or Wednesday morning, guys. It's a short week.
You got all
welcome
excited
to the
about
program on a 4-day week here on the I Love CVille Network. My name is Jerry Miller. It's good to be with you. Today's a special day for the cast of characters you've come to love on the I Love CVille Network and on Real Talk with Keith Smith, because one of those cast of characters has their birthday today, and he's the jack of all wit, Judah Wickower, who we will celebrate. Before we do, let's welcome the distinguished gentleman to the program, fresh from a 3-day weekend. Today's Wednesday.
I'm about to say, nice job, Miller.
Thank you.
Today's Tuesday. Hold it.
Interestingly, today's show, the second word I messed up, the day. But how was your 4th of July? Did you have a good weekend?
We had a great weekend, and for those who watched the show on Friday, Yonna joined us, and our tradition is to go to Monticello to see the naturalization. And as we were talking on Friday, if you need a little boost in the arm of about this country and how you feel about it, go there. They was really hard. It just brought tears to my eyes because. There's a portion of it, like we talked about on Friday, that the judge, because this is a proceeding, the judge invites the newly minted U.S. citizens to tell their story. And there was a young lady there from Ukraine.
Wow.
And just to say there wasn't a dry eye in the house would be an understatement. She got up and was just passionate. And I think the largest contingent of new citizens came from Afghanistan, and they got up and talked about, their experiences, and it just was, that is like the hallmark of the event. I mean, the naturalization is the hallmark of it, but to sit there and listen to these folks talk and tell their stories, and it gives you a bit of a shot in the arm, and makes you feel good to be an American.
Well said. 4th of July behind us. We're now in the second half of 2022. The later stages of the year.
Can you believe that?
I know, the year's flying. Well, we certainly wished from a market standpoint that the first half flew by. It was the worst first half of the year since 1970, 52 years.
You're talking about the stock market.
We're talking the financial markets. But, we'll pause on that note for a moment, and let's wish a happy birthday to
So I brought in some little cupcakes with sparklers on it, and since I'm the executive producer of the show, we're going to sing our dear friend Judah Wickower happy birthday. So I don't know if you got all the cameras set up.
Light?
Well, you light first since you're the birthday boy, and set up the cameras. And so this is the first for us with sparklers. So either this is going to go really, really well, or the Charlottesville's finest is going to come visit.
Do you have, you're going to have to toss that spark over to us so we can light this as well?
I think he's got to toss the thing.
How many do you have over there, my friend?
I gave him 4.
Wow.
4. I don't know if I over
For the big 4 for Judah Wickower. He's literally lighting sparklers on here. The interesting thing about a cupcake like this is if you don't do it quickly, it's just going to melt all over the icing. So Judah, here we go. Man is fantastic. Look, we got sparklers going.
I caught that with my left hand, by the way.
This is completely covered in the umbrella policy that the I Love CVille Network has. Lighting sparklers on live shows. There's no evidence at all in case the place burns down. Yes, we're doing it on camera. Judah Wickower is, it's his birthday. We won't embarrass him from an age standpoint. But
well,
the man
if you look at his Facebook page, it'll tell you.
He's aging like a fine wine.
I tell people I'm older than I look and younger than I feel.
And that's why they call you the Young Cowers.
Judah, thank you for all you do. And you ready, sir?
Yeah.
On a count of 3. 1.
We're going to sing happy birthday?
We're going to sing happy birthday.
The whole thing? Is that what the viewers and listeners want?
Oh.
We can just say happy birthday, Judah. I don't know if they want to
I wanted to sing Judah happy birthday, but that's okay.
You nor I sing, unless Judah wants us to sing.
No, I'm okay.
I think you're okay. So, Jamie Turner says, a true legend. Happy birthday, Judah Wickower.
Thank you.
Judah, cheers. Happy birthday to you, my friend.
We love you, Judah.
Couldn't do this without you.
10 years.
So you got to blow out your candles first there,
all right,
because otherwise it's bad luck. And
you're about to catch the studio on fire. I'm blowing mine out now.
There we go.
There we go. So we got a cupcake here. What are we eating, by the way?
A cupcake.
No, I know. Is it chocolate with vanilla icing?
It's chocolate with I could do this, Smith. Cream cheese.
It's very good.
Ooh.
So what did you say? You read the package. These might light again, so we got to be
That
real
is
careful.
the best. No, they're not going to light again.
Happy birthday, Judah. This
Yeah,
cupcake
man.
is delicious.
You mean the world to us here, man, and just happy birthday to you.
All right.
I
So-
appreciate that.
So tell me, what is your fondest birthday memory?
Fondest birthday memory. Oh man, I've got
I'm
some
doing
really-
real talk today.
I've got some really vague
That's
ones.
the right answer.
I've got some really vague ones about.
You didn't follow his advice.
Yeah, the answer is just to be to the point.
Yeah,
Succinct
today.
with your answer.
So as a child,
there goes that.
what's your best birthday memory as a child? What was your best memory?
I remember.
Well, I eat the
I remember
cupcake.
being at a park and having a cake with race cars and stuff on it. I don't think there wasn't anything really.
So you didn't make a big, your family didn't make a
spectacularly
big thing
out
out of birthdays?
Not really.
So in our house, it goes, there's a birthday week and there's a birthday month. And
Oh man.
Neil Williamson, Judah's birthday gift. Smith and Miller not singing. Happy birthday. Yeah, I got that
man,
impression
Neil.
the last time we did some singing on the show, and the viewers and listeners were saying, please stop.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Woody Fincham, Judah, the man that makes it happen. Happy birthday. Keep the sparklers out of the bourbon, please.
Thank you, Woody.
Well played, Woody Fincham. We love you, Woody, and we love when you come on the program. Before we get to the markets and we talk, the icing just took a dive there. That's a blooper wheel waiting to happen.
Oh, man.
Smith is now currently licking the table of icing. Do you have
Well,
any?
it is icing.
Do you have any birthday plans today? Before we talk markets and what's going down?
None that I know of.
No birthday plans?
None that I know of. I'm sure my parents will ask if I want to go to dinner somewhere.
Okay. Well, I hope you go to a nice place.
What's your go-to place?
He likes Peter Chang's.
Oh, that's right. Yonna and I.
No, it used to be Flaming Walk until they closed. Now I need a replacement.
So what is Flaming Walk now?
I think it's just empty. I don't think I've driven
No.
by.
Flaming Walk is it going to be a Korean barbecue place?
No.
What is it?
No. So the Flaming Walk is now an auto parts store.
Really?
Or is that not the
I don't
Flaming-
think that's true.
the
Flaming Walk is the old hibachi place,
Oh, that was the
and
Korean.
I think the hibachi place is still there. It's just empty, and
It's
think
the
derelict.
Korean barbecue place.
I think it's going to be a Korean barbecue place.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Korean barbecue place.
So as you can tell, Smith didn't have anything prepared today, but other than messing up his. So the problem with the mic being on the left when you're a lefty, the mic.
You got trapped right there. Technically, in television, someone who came up in the TV world, if any of us were eating or drinking in the studio, at least in NBC 29, you'd be fired
Really?
on the spot.
Did I get fired?
No, you didn't get fired. We have no rules here on the I Love CVille Network. But that's how it was when I was a broadcaster at NBC 29.
And why is that?
I mean, expensive equipment. Icing on the desk. Spilling the bourbon on the Mac, on the desktop.
Never
Spilling the Vitae spirits on the microphones.
Did you hear what he just said? That'll never happen.
Never
That'll
happened.
never happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
what they all say.
All the alcohol spills into our mouths.
The last person who
We're
said
only
that'll
two-
never happen served a super hot piping coffee out of a McDonald's drive-through window and burnt someone's lap. Remember that?
Oh,
And then
yeah.
that lawsuit followed.
Ooh.
That crazy, ridiculous lawsuit that made
You
national
want,
headlines.
you want to hear crazy lawsuits? Here's one that I don't know if it beats it, but comes pretty darn close. Apparently, a woman got pregnant with her boyfriend's child and sued, or maybe it was. Anyways, she sued his insurance company and won like $5 million.
That's ridiculous.
And how did that?
And Neil Williamson, quick correction of what we just said. Neil Williamson says Flaming Walk has a permit to build 2 hotels on the site, but the project has stalled. Thank you, Neil Williamson, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, for holding us to our P's and Q's on the broadcast.
Actually doing the show.
Yeah, no, and I'm grateful for that. That's what I like about the show. I think I mentioned to you that Jamie Turner wished you a happy birthday.
Mm-hmm. I
JT,
appreciate
we
that.
love when you rep the pep and Culpepper.
So it's interesting. I just kind of really got pumped on the 4th of July. It was just a lot of fun, a lot of good people and different different stripes, and everybody it was just really a wonderful thing. And if you have an opportunity to do it, please do it. And it was the good news about it.
Let's say hi to the beautiful and talented Mandy Whitcower on the West Coast, who I think is watching in California.
Ooh,
Mandy.
She
Probably.
says, happy birthday, Jude. I love you.
Thank
That's
you,
from
Mandy. I love you
his
too.
sister. California, is that right, Mandy? Is it
Yep, she
California?
should be. I mean, Mandy gets around, so you never
She's
know.
she's a globetrotter, Mandy. I didn't know that about you, Mandy. You're a globetrotter.
So
I mean, I don't know if I'd call her a globetrotter, but she.
I mean, let's go with globetrotter. The alternative, what you said was your sister gets around. So I think we're going to say she's a globetrotter, and she's watching right now.
did
So
you realize what you said?
Mandy travels a lot, is what we're going to say. Mandy travels a lot.
Thank God you're here. Can you imagine the trouble that I'd get myself into?
I try. Laura and my wonderful wife is like, why don't you take vacation? Why don't you come up with us to Long Island, Southampton? I said,
don't put it on
That
me.
would mean leaving Keith and Judah to the studio and everything that we have built over the last 15 years. And she goes, you're right, stay home.
Oh, she never said
She said,
that.
you're right, stay home.
No,
I'll handle the parade with our son and your in-laws, my parents, by myself.
So you're putting this all on me.
No, I'm joking.
On the way in.
They always do this. They go in the summer. It's great. I love it. It's my mother-in-law's birthday. My son, her grandson, they get to spend some time together. They have a great time. They around the beach. I get a little peace of mind without a 4-year-old for a little bit, recharge, and then get ready for the rest of the summer. It's awesome.
How do you handle being by yourself?
I handle it well. I play a lot of squash, eat some nice meals, get some sleep. Sleep is hard to come when you have a 4-year-old. So it's been refreshing. Judah would say that I've been very chipper and pleasant in the office.
Oh, Jerry is always chipper and pleasant.
You should not lie on your birthday.
My dad doesn't do well when my mom goes.
Neither does Keith.
A little heads up, by the way, gentlemen. Yonna's heading back. She hasn't been home in 5 years. Yonna's heading home for 2 weeks in October.
Wow.
So I'm going to be a bachelor.
You're going to be a bachelor for 2 weeks?
I'm going to be a bachelor for 2 weeks. So you folks better watch out.
Let's put a news bulletin out there. Let's get an
bulletin
APV out there.
You're gonna have to bring some guests. We have to bring some guests along to keep me a little on edge.
You getting some text messages over there?
Yeah, one or two.
What is it? A happy
Good
birthday?
for you.
I just got a messenger from my aunt.
Oh, that's fantastic. He's loved.
So you're the oldest. How do you fit in the family tree?
I'm the oldest child in my immediate family, and then I have two younger sisters, who both live out in Southern California.
There you go.
Where in Southern California?
Palm Springs area.
Oh, cool.
That's a beautiful area.
You get to see them much?
Yeah, they fly out fairly often.
I was thinking the other way. How's it about you going that way?
I don't.
I know you. I know in the last 3.5 years you haven't because you're always sitting in that seat. So,
Yeah.
my bike ride from this morning is catching up with me.
Okay. What does that mean?
That means that if I'm perspiring, it's that I haven't quite cooled down.
You perspire a little bit.
Yeah, it was a hot
Under the lights here at the set.
The lights don't help out much, and I did a pretty long ride this morning, and the humidity is catching up with me, so I might have to take my jacket off here.
Do it. Take the jacket off.
In the middle.
No approval needed. No approval needed for comfort here on the set. What's the mood on the street? What's the market like?
The mood on the street. We've been talking this O-shift stuff for several months, and it's the mood on the street. It's kind of interesting. We're still depending on the location, we're still seeing multiple offers come in, but they're not a dozen or half a dozen or whatever like that. It's a couple of offers on it, and it seems, at least from our perspective, we've been blessed and super busy, both on the listing and the sales side. It just seems like the tempo is picking up a little bit. But at the end of the day, the affordability index is a little bit askew. For the first-time home buyer is kind of hitting
Screwed.
Well, they're hitting they just got to be a little bit more persistent. But there's the millennial buyer is about 20% larger than my pool. In the next 3 years, according to all the experts, these buyers are going to be coming in droves. And, it's still, even depending upon how you're looking at it, it's still cheaper or more cost effective to buy than to rent, because the rents are just going through the roof. So
Yeah.
I just don't see the market slowing down, but we're super blessed. But now's the time when, there's 3 things that pop up on my phone every morning, and I've said this a bunch of times. It's at 5:30. Be professional, be caring, and be trustworthy. And, I struggle at all 3 every day. It's hard work to do that, but it's interesting. But I've kind of been off the game a little bit because we've been celebrating since Friday, so I really haven't been keeping my thumb on. I literally didn't even check the market stats this morning, and I can't tell you
The last time you didn't do that.
I haven't done it in 4 years. How long have we been doing this? So
We talked about a topic yesterday on the show that I found intriguing, Judah found intriguing. The Waffle House on 5th Street closing due to no labor.
Yeah.
How often have you ever been at the Waffle House?
Well, we talked about that as well. It's the only after-hours restaurant in town.
I don't think I've ever actually been in a Waffle House.
Ever?
I've never been in a Waffle
Oh man.
Wow.
You're missing out.
Yeah, we talked about the hash browns. We love the hash browns.
You can't beat their hash browns.
Occasionally on a
Nice
long,
and greasy.
a long road trip, that little Waffle House on the exit sign.
Yeah, but you got to remember where
Seems appealing.
where I grew up, right?
But you travel, don't you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
You tend to tell me
Yeah,
I
you
travel.
travel.
A lot. You tell me I travel a lot.
But the element was more the no labor, that you can't keep your business open.
Yeah. So I wanted today to be a fun show, a little bit celebrate Judah.
I think we did that.
on Judah's end of it, but the R word is creeping its way into our lives.
We find out this week, right? We
Right.
find out this week officially.
What the numbers are?
Yeah, the GDP number for Q2. Q2 is now behind us. January, February, March,
Yeah.
Q1, April, May, June, Q2. We find out the number this week. The Atlanta number out of the Atlanta Fed was a minus 2 points. So that shows an early indicator that, it's a recession. We already know it's a recession.
Look, we are in a recession. What I'm worried about is going into stagflation, and I'm wondering, if this, and I think this time next year, I may be wrong, but I think this time next year, you're going to see unemployment numbers climb.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be officially in stagflation. But this recession, I feel that we're actually in one. The experts will probably tell you we're not there yet. I'm not so sure, nationally. I think we went down last quarter. I think this quarter is not going to be below last quarter. I may be wrong on that end of it. I think we'll do a little flatlining on it. But, now's the time for those folks out there again, today I had no topic, no setup, anything for today, just us having a good time. One of the great things about what I do for a living, being your own business owner and all that stuff, and not being dependent upon, somebody as a salary kind of thing, all I have to do to beat inflation is grow my business by 10%. So if I sell 10 houses a year, I sell one more house. I just beat inflation, right? So we're lucky. We get to do that. I know that sounds a little flippant.
I think that is,
So
do you think you're going to sell, you think you're going to do 10% more business this year?
no, we're 30% off where we were last year. But I don't count last year as a normal year.
You say last year's an anomaly. So you're saying
Actually, I count the last 2 years as an anomaly. I base all
So
my...
what are you on 2019?
19.
So are you up or down on 19?
We're up on 19.
What, plus?
It's over 10%.
Okay, that's good.
It's over 10%.
Nice.
And you just call 20 and 21 gravy trains.
Well, it's not gravy trains. It's just you can't
Can't be the norm.
You can't build a budget, right, off of that. It's just an unrealistic expectation. We built our budgets off of 19 numbers.
Michael Plecker, Yes Realty Partners charter member,
Charter member.
says, we still have not reached the point where a buyer can ask for closing cost assistance.
Oh, I
So
disagree.
save your money.
I disagree with
So he
Michael.
says, is he saying don't buy the house? I think that's what he is. Is that what he's saying?
No.
He says, we still haven't reached the point where a buyer can ask for closing cost assistance. So
what
save your money.
No, what he's saying is save your cash for your closing costs and all that stuff. But I hate to disagree with Mike. We just did one. Yonna and I just did one with seller concessions. It's
What were the concessions?
closing cost assistance, and that's what Michael's saying. Michael's saying save your cash for closing cost assistance.
You did a deal where the seller contributed to the closing costs of the buyer. Half the cost?
It was about half, yeah.
You hear that, Judah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to start seeing that creeping itself back up in here, and people like Michael and a bunch of other realists.
Woody Fincham, we're seeing closing costs covered on many contracts now.
Yeah. It's the skill set that you need today is if you got to be thinking 2016, 17, 18. At some level, you're going to probably need skill sets from back when it was 2010 and 11, right once we came out of the time of great unpleasantness. But now's the time. The pros are going to do great in what's coming, and but we're excited about it. And you're going to start seeing teams grow. We're excited about the growth of our little brokerage, a little bit of office that we have set up, little teams we have set up on it, because you're going to start needing. The people, agents, and the industry as a whole really haven't done this in quite some time.
You guys haven't been through some bear markets in.
Yeah,
When's the last time you've been through a bear market? Was that 13 years ago?
It's not a bear market, though.
I know you're managing perception.
I'm
or
not
trying to manage perception.
I'm not trying to
There are
manage
very
anything.
few people that would not characterize this as a bear market right now.
No. So you're talking about the stock market. Stock market is super bear. And I'm talking about real estate. Real estate is not a bear market right now.
Okay.
It is not a bear market. Why you smile? So tell me why you think it's a bear market. Let's do this.
I think we all see that the
Define.
new constructions are slowing.
Oh, that's a great. We can talk about that.
New construction is slowing.
Okay.
Buyers are getting spooked on rates.
But they're not.
You're seeing the pendulum shift where it's becoming more a buyer's market than a seller's market. 3%, Woody Fincham just posted on the feed, 3% or less of closing costs contributions from sellers is not unheard of right now.
Yeah, agree. So you define that as a bear market?
I think the housing market is heading into a potential bear market. You have 2/3 less the inventory sold this year than last year.
Okay.
2/3.
So from a volume perspective,
In 2022, there are 2/3 less homes going to be sold this year than last year.
Okay.
How many homes were sold last year? Back of the napkin.
Oh, I can't.
Back of the napkin.
I'm not gonna do that without the stats in front of me. But we're
2/3 less the inventory sold.
yeah. But if you
That's-
compare that to 2019, it's not. So you have to define bear. You can't define real estate the same way you define the stock market.
Okay, I'll change the statement. I think real estate's got some headwinds in front of it.
Oh, and what have we been talking about from the last?
Sizable headwinds.
We've been talking about this since mid-April. Shift. The market is shifting, but it's not. People are still buying and selling homes. I had a conversation with a seller, the other day, and they were like, "Oh my God, I said, "Well, hold the time out. You bought your house in 19. They have to sell. They bought their home for 400. The market value is now 475.
That O-shift graphic really contributes to the talk show there, Judah.
Judah,
I'm glad the O-shift graphic got put on the show.
Who made that O-shift graphic?
That graphic really
made that?
contributes to the show. Keith, did Keith make that graphic?
We
That graphic, you made it?
No, Keith.
Okay, it really contributed to the show there.
Yeah.
I'm glad that was included. Go ahead. I apologize. I regress.
You do that on purpose. You
John Blair, hello, my friend.
you throw me off so my ADD gets.
No, I mean,
kicked in.
listen, this is a great springboard and a topic point.
And I'll finish, hopefully.
3 is the market, and he's probably got some perspective he can offer too. I'll say your game has really stepped up because you've been reading a lot more to prepare for this show. So I've noticed that you got a lot more ammunition lately, and you got a lot of positive and good things to say, and I want to hear them. But here's the topic
On
point.
some subjects.
And I will get out of your way. Y'all got y'all's way here. Can't believe I just said y'all. I will get out of your way. There are obvious
Lauren, come home.
The obvious headwinds for the market are interest rates, lack of inventory, a shallowing buyer pool, and the pendulum swinging from a seller's market to a buyer's market.
So this has been going on for 3.5 decades, as long as I've been doing it. This pendulum slips back and forth, and there's always a little bit of a different nuances. This is where you need to be a pro. This is why you need a trusted advisor to help you navigate that. This comparing it to a bear market or a bull market, you can't do that because it's so specific on what we're doing. But if I had my numbers in front of me, I can tell you, because we did a show about this, about how many transactions were recently versus 2018 and all that stuff. And we are multiple times more than we were 4 or 5 years ago. I can't quote the numbers because I can't remember them. So if we're...
In 22?
No. 22 versus 18 and...
2022 versus 18, I'd be very curious...
I have the numbers, I just don't have them with me.
Yeah, I'd be very curious to know this specific question. 2022, the first half of the year, versus 2019, the first half of the year, inventory sold, specific count.
I have that. I did a spreadsheet on it for a show. I just don't remember the number. But I do remember 2022 was up here and 19 was down here. So there's a substantial delta between the two. I just can't remember the exact number on it. If there's a real estate agent watching, they can easily pull that up on Paragon to go ahead and do that. But it's just, we're still in single digit days on market, right? It's just shifted. It just shifted. It's just different on that end of it. It's not worse. We're not, I don't want somebody, it's important to me, I don't want somebody to use the word bear and convert it to balloon, right? So I don't want that connection to be made.
Well, a bear market is not indicative of a balloon.
So I understand that.
Yeah.
I just don't want somebody to make that leap and go, oh my God, it's a bear market and it's a balloon. What it is like a decelerating market, right? So prices are decelerating. And the story that I was about to tell before I came back on that is I had a client. We helped him sell a house. It was in 18 or 19, I think it was 19 on it for $400,000. Helped them buy it, for $400,000. And they need to move. We need to sell it. And the value for the home is about $475 now. So
great.
They picked up $475,000 in as many 3 years roughly on that end of it. And the question, he says, well, I'm worried about a buyer not wanting to buy because they're expecting that type of return, that type of appreciation. That is not normal appreciation.
Sure.
Double digit. So what's going to happen, if you listen to all the experts and us, you're going to be back at the 3%, 4%, 5%. So that 475, if you buy today, it's not going to go to 450.
No, I know. I think people realize that.
Well, when you use the word bear, that's what people think. At least that's what that's
not what people think.
Okay, that's what I thought.
People. The bear market means we have headwinds in front of us.
Okay.
The market's going to slow, and the inventory is not going to have the same
So
momentum
let me ask
it
you a
once
question.
had.
Do you think the market slowing is a good thing or a bad thing?
I think the inventory is a serious problem. I think not having the inventory is a serious problem. And the conversation that I'm hearing in our social circles are this. It's people that have homes. You fall into this category. I fall into this category. Where they've purchased a home. They have significant equity in their home. Massive equity. You have massive equity in your house. I have massive equity. You have massive. And they're like, the conversation came up, are we going to figure out a way to monetize or utilize or enjoy this equity? Move out, sell. And the conversation is, even if we try to sell this house, we're not going to have an interest rate that's equivalent to the one we have now.
Yeah, but that was.
We're also not going to be able to find a house that is going to be equivalent to the one we have. Or if we trade up and try to get something that's bigger, it's exponentially more than what the exit of our current house will allow us to get. So they're staying sticky.
So this exact client has to do that. I had the exact conversation with them, and we did the math. So we're going to sell you a house for X dollars. You're going to walk away with this amount of money. Prices are stabilizing, which is good.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not having double-digit increases. You're having reasonable single-digit increases. So
of the 8 couples at that party, 7 said they have no intention of moving because they don't know what they would get. Me, I was like, I'll do it. I'm ready to rock and roll. My wife's like, no, slow down. So that was 8 couples,
Sure.
all 8 saying, where would we go?
And
what would we get?
And they were all in the millennial age?
They were all mid-30s to mid-40s.
Yeah, yeah. And so you're now doing this other millennial buyer, which is this move-up buyer, right? They bought 4 or 5 years ago. They have a substantial amount of equity. Their life changes are happening. Another blessing is happening, or whatever, and they're trying to make a decision on what to do. But life changes is what's going to indicate that. But from a math perspective, if you're bringing enough cash down and I'm buying something down, your monthly nut's not going to be that much different well, I can get a 15-year mortgage right now at 4%, a little over 4%.
I appreciate your positive and rosy outlook.
Yeah, but I can tell you it's not positive or rosy. I just know what our business model is, and I know what we're doing, and we're busy as all can be because the people at that party are seeking out folks that can help them navigate this. And it is what it is, right?
Talk to me about new construction.
There's the.
Why is it slowing?
Yeah, it's slowing. Wow. At the beginning of it or the end of it?
Right now.
No. In the new construction process. So you're starting to see some of the guys that are in the development space take a pause.
Yeah.
And they're taking.
We were having this conversation yesterday on the phone, weren't we, Judah?
Yeah.
With the client.
Yeah, they're taking a pause. So that is actually going to impact market inventory substantially. And what they're doing is they're chasing opportunities that can turn around. I can't give specifics on it, of course, but they're chasing opportunities that, and it's very interesting. They're chasing opportunities that 6 months ago it was, I need something that I can get rezoned quickly, to now something, I'm okay with a 2-year rezoning process because they're letting the market adjust itself a little bit. They have the capital to do it, but we're going to go through the inventory, the lot inventory that's there. Then there's going to be a stop on it because there's going to be some stuff in the pipeline that's going to take a little bit of time to go ahead and get it rezoned and built. So you're 100% right. New construction has been the bright spot for a while. I think new construction, you're going to hit a pause a little bit on it, only because of it's so many different things. They don't have lot inventory, costs are going up, they don't have folks to build them on all this stuff. Interest rates are climbing on it, on that end of it. So I do see new construction softening.
Brian has this comment. Brian, where are you watching? I believe you're in Spring Creek, but correct me if I'm wrong. Jerry, we're in the same position as you and those couples that you were talking about. We do have equity in our house, and we would like to expand to a bigger one, but if you look at the market, there's not something there for us to buy. We would have to climb significantly into another price point stratosphere to get the kind of house that we want in today's market.
That's kind of what worries me, and I obviously know a lot less than you guys, but people, middle class people starting to get priced out of the market, and not only that, but then you've got all these investors coming in, not just big time investors, but you've got people looking at the Airbnb market and buying up properties to turn into Airbnbs, which are not rentals. I mean, they're not being used for long-term rentals.
It doesn't improve the housing stock.
Right.
So you hit the nail on the head.
And they're not policing that as much anymore right now.
No.
The Airbnbs, they don't have the personnel in play. City of Charlottesville and Albemarle County, they don't have the policing in place for the illegal Airbnbs, because technically by law, you have to live there half the year.
Correct. Yeah.
To have a legal Airbnb. They're not doing that right now.
Yeah, so what'll happen...
Also, and this isn't indicative of a housing, necessarily a housing bubble, but I think a lot of the people that are jumping into the Airbnb investment business are using the projected earnings on previous purchases to get really big loans for new purchases.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. It's part of the business that I do with the investment properties here. The people that give you the financing and the money, they don't take 100% of projected revenue to finance.
You have to have
a significant haircut.
Yeah, you have to be able to support that without.
Yeah, the revenue. A lot of people that are buying the Airbnbs are not doing that on projected revenue. Just throwing this out there. They're doing it with large cash positions. That's how they're buying it.
Yeah, so Judah's on as usual. Judah jumps in and says some
Love when you chime in, Judah.
Pearls of nuggets.
And it's Judah's birthday for those just chiming in. Vanessa
Yeah, and
hello.
we had sparklers and cupcakes, and Smith can't eat cupcakes apparently.
Delicious cupcakes.
Oh, she's giving you props. Vanessa's giving you props. And Danny O'Day said your Yankees showing with the fact that you've never been to the Waffle House.
Yeah, that's total Yankee. That's total Yankee. But I'll tell you, I know Dinah's.
Oh, I know. I have no doubt.
I know Dinah's like the Pope knows holy water. So,
Oh.
But Judah, I stole that from you.
I know you did. So do the viewers and listeners.
Yeah, so Judah's spot on, though. What's ultimately going to happen here is the missing middle, right? So the missing middle is going to get worse. And the missing middle isn't necessarily product, right? Homes. The missing middle is the buyer, is the person, is the income thing, and that's the middle class. So what's going to happen here is the upper end are going to be able to have the money. The lower end, and I've already been reading reports this morning about this stuff, they are starting to relax the lending requirements already. They're lowering credit score, right? As soon as this interest rate started climbing up, the credit scores are starting to turn. They're starting lessening the lending requirements. No doc loans are going to start creeping their way back into it, and probably the federal government is going to come in and say, okay, at the lower income level, here are loan programs. So Judah's spot on. This middle pivot is going to be a little difficult on that end of it for what you guys outlined, but
undoubtedly the middle class is getting pinched. Undoubtedly the middle class is getting pinched. And a healthy economy.
Don't we seem to always get pinched in the middle?
I mean, it seems to be happening significantly more than in past. And a good economy is only as strong as its middle class.
Agreed.
The middle class is the foundation for any healthy economy.
Agreed.
The move up buyer. We often talk about the
Entral. Gesundheit.
Excuse me.
Strawberry.
That's right. We often talk about the first-time home buyer on this show. Mm-hmm. Why do we not highlight the tribulations, the trials of the move-up buyer?
Well, I think that's what we're doing right now.
There's a lot of comments coming in. The move-up buyer is now, what is the price point for the move-up buyer for a family of 4, for a family of 5? Is that price point for the move-up buyer, family of 4 or 5, $800K? Is that the price point?
Oof.
I think it is.
Ouch.
Because you figure the starter home is 300 and up. Say the starter home is 300 to 450.
It depends on the where.
Yeah.
Right? So
call it Albemarle County or Charlottesville.
Well, the where is changing now.
Say Albemarle County or Charlottesville. Those are the most desirable in Central Virginia.
You can get something in a different jurisdiction, Greene or Fulvan or Louisa at a different price point.
A family of 4, a family of 5 is probably going to want Albemarle County schools. They're going to pursue them first.
Well, you're making an assumption on that end of it, but
the data backs it up.
Well, my children went to Fulvan.
Well, I know.
And they can spell.
Why did Crozet boom?
Without a doubt.
Western Albemarle. Henley.
Well, it's also beautiful. I rode my bike this weekend up there, so it's beautiful on that end.
What's the move-up threshold in Western Albemarle?
So Western Albemarle, there is no move-up threshold.
It's probably 850, 900?
You can't. I've got 4 clients I'm trying to find something for, and they can't.
And if family 4, family 5?
Everything from millennials to move to family of 4 or 5.
So think about this.
Everybody from a young couple trying to start to move ups. So in the Western Albemarle area, If it's got an 8 in front of it, it needs help.
That's what I'm saying. So the starter home, we talk so much on this network about people buying a house and getting into a home, a starter home.
But-
We never talk about, today we're doing it, the person going from the starter home to the next level. And
So-
the delta didn't used to be 300 to 900. The delta used to be 300 to like 450 or 475.
So this goes back to the missing middle, the first half of the missing middle conversation. The first half of the missing middle conversation is the product. The second half of the missing middle conversation is the buyer, is the client, is the family on that end of it. And to Neil Williamson's point on this, if you help one side of this triangle, right? So let's just call this a triangle. One is the first-time home buyer. The second is the move-up missing middle buyer, and then there's the upper-end buyer. If you start increasing any one of those quadrants, it helps the other one. It helps the other one.
course.
It helps the one other. So why there's so much drive? Even this is across the country. I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. I'm part of a national cohort on this stuff. That's why there's such a push to try to increase inventory in the middle. Because if you increase inventory in the middle, you help the first-time home buyer, and you help the upper end of it, because the people are moving through as you said, the process. So if I can get in first-time home buyer, right, and I get in a great deal and all this stuff, but if there's nothing for me to move to in the middle, and I got to make a jump all the way to 800 to $1 million, as the viewers are saying, and the people at your party, I'm just sitting still. So this is a lot more than interest rates,
And
a lot more.
these are indications of headwinds that lead to a bear market.
Yeah, well, I just prefer not to use the word bear because it implies something else. But
No, it doesn't.
for me, it does.
The
But-
definition is not what you're saying the definition is.
Okay.
Just so you know. Vanessa Parkhill has this comment. It breaks my heart that I think my kids fall into that missing middle. Lee has college friends living in Arlington whose rent went up 30% for a one-bedroom apartment. How are those young professionals supposed to save for a home?
I literally have the same discussion with my daughter and my son-in-law, right? Doctor, teacher, moving out of his residency, making ridiculous, I think 50 grand a year is what they make, $52,000 a year. On that end, they're moving out of Seattle because they can't
I
afford
mean, he does $52K a year plus the debt he has, the debt service payment.
Yeah,
Oof.
yeah. Well,
You hear that, Judah?
yeah, well, that's,
Yeah,
and my daughter works.
and that's a doctor.
Yeah.
Well, so that's
With is it $250,000 in debt?
I mean, I know he's not.
I think we've said it on the show before.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's more than that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's not. You know, he's not a. He's not up there. You know.
Well,
with
because he's
name
at his
on the-
residency,
with-
so the way
yeah.
residency
Yeah.
works is they get paid a ridiculous amount of money and they work ridiculous hours, all that stuff. But they're moving out in June and July, and so they're part of their selection process, which we're helping them with, is, okay, where can I get a job that makes a decent amount of money, and where is the housing inventory, and the schools and so forth and so on, because we're going to be G3,
Number three.
another one coming in.
A lot of comments coming in. Let's get to Danny O'Day. The Airbnb market is horrible for any local housing market because it forces competition for home prices away from local average income and into a national pricing competition. We are lucky to live in a place that people want to visit, but allowing the STR properties to run rampant destroys the transition property market that used to exist for first-time buyers trying to move from renting to owning. Well said,
And it
Danny O'Day.
also screws up the hotel industry. I have a client of mine that we just helped them open up a facility over here in Pantops, and we're trying to find 2 more locations for them to build hotels on. And A, there's nothing available to buy, and B, the ones that are available to buy that go through the rezoning process is insane, and they're basically walking away. So all that, we're roughly several thousand hotel rooms short in this area.
The hotels are stacking paper in this area. Stacking paper.
Oh, if you can get one built. If you
Yeah.
can get one built, you can get one done. They're doing great. The occupancy is off the charts. That's the reason we're trying to look for some more property. But the point I'm trying to make is unless they make hotels easier to build, the Airbnbs are just going to start.
Well, this is what I don't understand. And maybe it's obviously a personnel issue. Why are they not reinforcing, or why are they not busting balls more on these Airbnbs that are not legit?
So
They're losing tax revenue.
Yeah.
Losing tax revenue from the municipality, and they're taking housing stock away from renters and buyers. It's like there's nothing positive that comes from not policing the Airbnbs.
But how do you regulate it? Like
You just go to the homestay websites. So they were doing this.
Yeah.
They were doing this. They had someone in the various municipal, like headquarters, City Hall, and they were going to the homestay websites, like the Airbnb websites where they were listed, and vetting them that way.
Yeah, they were just
and they were
cross-referencing
flagging them.
Yeah, they were cross-referencing them.
Yeah, but that's not happening now.
Well, it's you're spot on. They don't have enough personnel to do it. Frankly, I think they can automate it.
Yeah. Dude, there's a business to be built. Maybe this business exists. Someone creates software. We could create this.
Yeah, it should
Software that vets homestays and jurisdictions, sells that software to jurisdictions, and positions it in the cell. This will get you more tax revenue for your municipality. You pay us for this software, and it will pay for itself 5 times over by getting more tax revenue to your jurisdiction.
So it's a database program. That's all it is.
I could build that.
It's a database. But so, one, they don't have enough people. 2, it's not automated. It may be that, or it's just not automated enough. Generally, the way this stuff works, gentlemen, it's just like a zoning ordinance, right? If you're not supposed to have chickens, right, you start having chickens in there, right? It's a matter of Judah dropping, it's not a dime anymore, a quarter, whatever a phone call costs these days.
Your neighbor?
That's exactly how zoning is enforced. Because you have the same thing in zoning, by the way, right? So what about all of the around UVA, right? So the city says you can't have any more. I believe it's 5 people or 4 people, and maybe it's either 4 or 5. 5 unrelated people live in a single residence.
Every house around UVA is breaking that law.
Exactly right. So there's a law that says you
Yeah.
can't do that.
But who's going
It's
to
not
stop
enforced,
it?
though.
That's what I'm saying. Who's policing that?
It's not enforced.
And I think, and that's Key's point is, who are you going to have? going-
Right. Who? And what? 25%. Let's put it in perspective.
And then let's take the next step off of that. It's now enforced. Now you got to implement the enforcement, right? In other words,
Right.
you've just got flagged. Now you have to have the personnel to kind of bill it, prosecute, however the path goes
Yeah.
on that end.
We'll take it a step further.
Somebody's got to be doing the paperwork.
We need somebody to police the Airbnbs, but 25% of the police department currently is empty. Do we want people to police crime, or do we want people to police the
No,
Airbnbs?
so that would,
But would the police be doing that job?
It would be completely different departments. The point of what I'm making is they can't fill the police department with bodies.
I mean, that's
to
a
police
problem.
crime. How are they going to get somebody to police the Airbnbs? If they
Exactly.
can't, you see what I'm saying?
but they can't
Well, exactly.
fill NDS either.
Well, NDS, they have Phil now. They got someone over there. But they can't fill the job. Okay, let's take it a step further, okay? Here's how we'll take it a step further. Charlottesville has become so expensive to live, and if you offered someone the job to police the Airbnbs,
Where would they live?
where would they live? Why the hell would they take the job? Why would you want to be the Airbnb police commissioner, the person who's policing the illegal Airbnbs, when you can't afford to live in Charlottesville? What are they going to pay that person? They're going to pay that person 37, 35?
Well, what you do is,
They're not going to live in Charlottesville. Why would they take that job?
yeah, so there's a fee that's connected to the Airbnb
That helps pay the cost.
that helps pay the cost. That's how you do that. So if you want to register an Airbnb, there's a fee. There's also taxes. They're paying hotel taxes on the end of it. And a lot of people don't know that they're supposed to do this.
So Danny O'Day and Neil Williamson say that the software for policing the Airbnb already does exist. It's called Granicus, Granicus.
I figured somebody
It's
has
a
it.
government software banner. So there goes that idea that we had to generate some revenue for B&V brands.
So then the question becomes, do they want to, it becomes the enforcement part of it. So it's like, alrighty, Jerry's not supposed to have his chickens. Judah drops a quarter and calls Keith over at the enforcement thing. So now what happens, Coach?
Yeah.
Is it dropping a quarter because of inflation?
Okay.
It dropped $1.
I don't. Is there actually a phone booth?
That's
anywhere?
when people were making fun of 50 Cent after the Super Bowl show because it looked like 50 Cent had put on some weight, and they called him, what do they call him, like dollar?
That's hilarious.
$50 instead of 50 Cent?
Is there actual,
Silver dollar.
Is there an actual payphone in Charlottesville at all? I don't know if I've ever seen one.
Is there a payphone in Charlottesville? Anyone know where there is a payphone? Is there a payphone in the lobby?
The last one I remember seeing was over by, what is it? It's that little convenience store across from the school on Hydraulic/Rio.
That convenience store, is that the Hilltop Market?
That's exactly what that is.
Hilltop Market?
Yeah.
But the last time I saw that phone booth was probably years and years ago.
So you want to know how much does it cost to make a phone call through a payphone? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't even know if one even exists. But
Yeah,
okay.
well, I can tell you that a candy bar is now $2 plus.
Well, do I want to go through the whole
Depends on the
story that I
candy bar.
used to get
Depends
2
where you
cents?
get it. They're not all $2.
Snicker bar. When's the last time you bought a Snicker bar? Go to the market next door. We're right next to the market on 4th Street and buy a Snicker bar. I bet you it's $1.89 plus tax.
And I agree with you 1,000%.
Yeah.
Not that I've bought a Snicker bar.
$1.89 plus tax.
So now you've got to enforce it, right? So how do you enforce it, right? How do you? So you've now flagged them. Now you enforce it. I'm sorry, Judah, Mr. Enforcer. I didn't know I was supposed to do that.
This is Woody Fincham's comment. Woody Fincham is fantastic.
Well,
Woody Fincham is the president of Fincham & Associates, the founder and president. All around A-plus guy. Woody Fincham is a bourbon aficionado.
And he's soon to buy a new bike.
Got a phenomenal beard. He's going to be cycling, evidently. He's going to be a cyclist.
He and I were emailing over the weekend.
Oh, get ready, Woody. This is a fraternity you're about to join here. He says this, in order to have, and he's an appraiser, by the way. He's come on the talk show. He's a respected man in this business.
One of our wonderful sponsors.
In order to have a healthy real estate economy, the markets have to be accepting of buyers being able to transition to higher market tiers. That is the problem right now. Transitioning upwards is a glass ceiling due to price. First-time home buyers can't get started, so the cycle has to reset somehow.
Ooh, he said cycle.
Ooh, Neil Williamson has a payphone location tracker on the comment section.
He would actually.
Holy crap, there's a lot of payphones.
So the answer of Woody's question or Woody's comment on that, not only the reason it's so expensive, there's nothing to buy, right? We don't have that missing middle product to buy. And just out of curiosity from Woody, when he takes a look at an appraisal with an Airbnb in it, I wonder how much extra boost or not does that give to value?
Well, does he know? Does he know that there's an
Airbnb? I would assume he would know.
You know every time when you're doing an appraisal it's Airbnb, Woody?
I would think he would know if he does a physical. That's a great question for Woody, but I think if you do a physical inspection, you're going to be able to tell.
I got home.
That's a great question. I don't know if you can actually.
I don't know if he.
Well,
why would he need to know if it's Airbnb when he's just valuing the home, appraising the home?
Well, because does
it make it more valuable if it's an Airbnb?
That's the question.
That's what you're saying.
That's the question I'm trying to ask.
Does an Airbnb? But the bank is not going to finance the house purchase because it's going to be an Airbnb.
And that's the second question for Woody. Does he see if they're in his valuations? Does he include that?
If anything, I would say the Airbnb would hurt the value of the home. Could you have transient guests in the house who are less likely to take care of the house?
Yeah. So what would happen with the Airbnb? So this whole conversation about Airbnb and housing affordability was part of this Portland and Seattle conversation because they removed the requirement of having owner occupied to do that.
Yeah, Molly, that's where I found it from, Jamie Turner. Jamie Turner posts, that's where I started figuring this out. Molly Cogner on Twitter, socialist dog mom, did an entire thread on Airbnbs. And she highlighted, I would call Molly an investigative journalist. She was a concerned citizen. In fact, I would encourage anyone to support her Patreon. She did a very in-depth thread on how Airbnbs are not being policed in the city of Charlottesville. And then she started herself highlighting the illegal Airbnbs and reporting them to City Hall.
So it's interesting.
She legitimately was dropping quarters, dollars on illegal Airbnbs.
We got to figure on that payphone tracker.
Yeah, you want to know where the payphones
I
are?
want to know where the closest one is. I'm going to find out how much.
There's a really close one.
I've got some.
Yeah, well, Neil Williamson sent a link for all the payphones in Charlottesville. You want me to rattle them off? You might have the same link.
It could
I'm
be.
just looking for the closest one so I can figure out how much.
The
it costs to make
closest
a phone
one
call.
is at the is right over there, right. I'd say half a mile from us. The Tarleton Oak Exxon
Oh yeah, sure.
on High Street coming into
Oh,
downtown.
yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
payphone there.
that's right.
There's a payphone at the Howard Johnson on West Main Street. There's payphones there. There's a payphone at Charlottesville Oil Company. Burger Busters, which is Taco Bell on Rio Road, has a payphone. Taco Bell on Rio Road. A bunch of restaurants still have payphones. The Quick Pick convenience store on Angus Road has a payphone.
And would
For
you
those
ever-
that know, that's behind the porn shop,
Really?
literally.
Okay. Thanks
Just
for
wanted to
sharing.
see what the response to that would be. I didn't get a response from anybody.
Thanks for sharing.
That has a payphone.
Aren't you thankful he shared that with you?
I try to give a landmark. That's where it's located. You know where the porn shop is.
Is that across from?
No, I don't.
You don't know where the porn shop is? It's
I
by
do not.
29.
By
I do
Best,
not.
by
Best
Best
Buy.
Buy.
I do not.
It's by World Market. Okay, all right. So we'll move on from that. The Econo Lodge has a payphone as well.
Yeah, we
Let's-
don't know where all the porn shops are.
Okay, there's only one. There's only
Well,
one.
Well, the fact that you know there's only one,
Who
anyway.
doesn't know that the porn shop is I've lived here for 22 years. I drive by. Bill McKenzie, welcome to the program. Woody Fincham has answers for us. Are you ready for these answers, gentlemen? Mm-hmm. We're not able to value the Airbnb concern. Lenders do not want residential loans on revenue streams.
Yeah.
We use income, but is restricted to long-term rentals for mortgage use reports. We know when there is STR. What's the exact acronym STR?
Oh, God. He's going to have to help us out with that.
STR with Airbnb.
I've got 3 STRs.
You looking that up, J-Dubs?
I got 3 STRs in my head, and I don't want to misquote it.
But he says there are a lot of clues.
Short-term rental.
Short-term rental, thank you. Thank you, Judah. Thank you, Woody. He says there are a lot of clues even when it's not disclosed openly. So it sounds like the appraised, thank you, Danny O'Day, short-term rental. It sounds like they're not interested in finding out if it's Airbnb. It's in kind of this unspoken gray area.
Well, so you've got that, and the question that you're asking, and I think some of the viewers and listeners may asking, and I know of the young person who did the Twitter, I've forgotten her name.
Molly, Socialist
Molly,
Dog
thank
Mom.
you. Molly, where's the capital not going? Right?
You need some money for school reconfiguration. How about you start busting balls on the Airbnbs?
Housing affordability.
That sounds like incremental tax revenue, my favorite kind of revenue right there.
There you go. So, what more than likely will happen is they tag somebody, they give them a slap on the hand, right? They go through the application process, and then they move forward.
Yeah, retroactively. So I don't know how you guys feel about this. The people can't be punished retroactively for running an illegal Airbnb because there's nobody in City Hall policing the Airbnbs. They can, though, moving forward, hit them up. And frankly, is it the rule, Neil Williamson, is it the rule that you have to live in the property half the year?
So it depends on the jurisdiction, right? So each
Pretty sure that's Charlottesville City.
each jurisdiction's a little bit different. But here goes to the point of a trusted advisor. I have a client, several clients actually, that thinking about doing Airbnbs, and I pointed them to the homestay thing. I said, these are the rules that you need to follow. And I didn't give them into great specifics, but I said, look, you understand there's rules. These are the rules. If you can follow the rules, then at the moment, these are the rules on that end.
Well, I mean, it's not your job to police the Airbnbs.
No, but it's our job to educate.
Sure. Yeah.
Our
and you
job
did
to
that.
educate. It's our job to say, look, I'm not going to live here at all. I'll go time out. You need to read these rules to go ahead and do this, because we have our ethics to do. Like, be professional, be caring, and be trustworthy. That's part of my professionalism, is to educate and to give the information.
It's kind of like the guy that was upstairs who was renting out his place as an Airbnb, and
Yeah, that was a disaster.
everyone was like,
In this building?
"You can't."
Yeah, I had
do
to
that.
kibosh that. It was miserable.
Well, that's violation of the HOA,
but-
and that's the other thing.
Well,
about-
we changed the bylaws.
But Keith is making a good point. As if you have a trusted advisor, then you have someone to advise you that that might not work, and you might be better off looking for another spot.
Well, you better double check.
Or at least finding out before you buy the place, and then find out that everybody's against you. And
we are educators. That's what we do. That's what we're doing here on the show. We're educators, right? And you need to go ahead and read the rules and regulations if that's what they say. Now, if they don't disclose to you that that's what they're going to do, and after the fact, that's something else. But if the client says, "Look, I'm looking for Airbnb," and here's a flip side of this conversation. Right? You just went into this whole discussion about I got to buy an $800,000, $900,000 house or whatever it is, moving up. Maybe.
Well, I don't have to. I just said that was the discussion.
No, sir. I'm talking about.
The comment.
The comment
from
on
Grayson.
the end of it.
Yeah.
So part of the buyers that I'm talking to that are making this move, they're looking at this thing just to offset the expense. Right? So how does that work, Coach? Right? On that end of it. Now, okay, good. If you're going to do that, here's the rules and regulations. This is what you have to follow. If everything goes according to Hoyle, yes, you can do it. Oh, by the way, we just found out Woody's not going to be able to use that as the bank's not going to use it as income, and Woody's not going to use it as valuation. Now, that's your cash flow is something else. Right?
So explain to me, and I understand a lot of people watch and listen. A lot of agents watch and listen. We understand that. We hear a ton of feedback post-show.
We do, actually.
I'm as positive as the next guy. We've outlined rising interest rates, which we've covered extensively on this program, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've outlined a 2/3 reduction in sold inventory this year versus last year, 2/3 reduction. We've outlined how...
No, a third reduction, not 2/3.
I'm curious of that number. We should talk about that on Friday. Okay. We've outlined Airbnbs eroding housing stock and investors buying Airbnbs. We've highlighted that Charlottesville City has no Airbnb police currently in place to prevent that phenomenon from gaining momentum. We've highlighted how the market is incredibly under-hoteled. And as a result, these Airbnbs are gaining success, which is encouraging more units to be converted. We've highlighted that the first-time home buyer can't buy a house. We've highlighted that the move-up buyer, now if they'd like to move up, in Albemarle County or the city of Charlottesville is probably looking at something with an 8 or 9 on it, which is a massive delta than what they currently own.
yeah.
We've highlighted that new construction has stalled and permits aren't going anymore right now, or they've slowed significantly.
And I'm excited about that.
We've highlighted. I can continue if you want me to.
No, not really.
We could talk zoning and how it's limiting the development and the rooftops from coming to fruition.
So
These are headwinds.
Sure. So
what do you think this is very interesting for you. What do you think a 5-bedroom home currently rents for right now in Albemarle County? 5-bedroom brick home, called a little over 4,000 square feet in Albemarle County.
I believe it has a 3 in front of it.
$4,000 a month.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
$4,000 a month.
So it's a math. I cannot tell you how excited I am for the market going forward. And that may be counterintuitive, and somebody might be saying, Smith, what are you drinking in your coffee? What did you smoke before you showed up?
Well, if there's something positive for you, on this particular topic is you're going to have, when this year is over and going into next year, you're going to have a lot less competition.
Market's going to adjust. Market is shifting. Shift. Thank you for the thing. Shift. Right? So your skill sets need to be there. Need to be professional. You need to be a pro on this stuff. You need to have a conversation. To go back to I'm pivoting here just quickly from my notes on your comments there. For the Airbnb, there's not a single jurisdiction yet that allows an Airbnb without being some sort of ownership model to it, right? You either got to be there for 6 months or some jurisdictions, you have to live there permanently.
Well, the new phenomenon is renting houses to Airbnb them. That's the new thing that's happening.
Again,
I have some friends doing that.
Yeah. Renting a house to
They
somebody
rent
else.
the house and then are converting it into an Airbnb.
Yeah.
So you're saying the second person, the person that's renting the house is Airbnb?
I own a house. You lease it from me,
You need to,
and you're using it as an Airbnb.
but you need to expand on that market, on that model, because what they do, because I know some people that do the same thing. I'm renting Judah's house, and then I'm splitting for the weekend, and I'm renting an Airbnb in the house for the weekend. I'm still permanently living there. I'm just doing it on the weekend. I don't think that violates any rules, right? Now, if I'm renting a house, we have to be very clear about this. If I'm renting a house from Judah and I'm not taking a possession of it and I'm Airbnb it,
That's what my friends are doing.
Yeah, well, that's illegal.
I don't think that's illegal if it's approved by the landlord.
No,
It's technically, I guess it's
it is.
illegal by
It
Charlottesville
viol-
law,
it-
but no one's policing it.
Well,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
we
how do you
determined
get
we
caught?
determined nobody's policing it. We
Yeah.
determined that, but it's all the homestay rules I know in the jurisdictions have some sort of permanent.
Yeah, Neil Williamson's posted Albemarle County. He's the president of the Free Enterprise Forum. He says you have to live in there half the year in Albemarle County.
So if
Half the year.
So if your buddy or your friends are renting a house and never taking occupancy of it, right, and Airbnb-ing out on it, at some point somebody's going to drop a dime on them, and then now what are you going to do, Coach?
Neil, I saw your last comment. That was funny. Someone drops a dime on you, then
Or a
you
quarter, or 50 cents.
You run out your lease and don't renew. Think about an Airbnb. Let's say you're renting. Let's say you rent.
But hold it, time out.
Let's talk about this $4,000 a month house I was talking about. It's an all brick home, $4,000 a month to rent, 5 bedrooms.
And where is it located?
It's located in eastern Albemarle County,
Okay,
in the Keswick area.
Got it.
Okay? Let's just hypothetical scenario. This is a hypothetical scenario. And I can assure you in this particular neighborhood, the HOA bylaws prevent
Yeah.
Airbnb.
Well, so that's what I wanted to
which
get
would
out
trump
earlier.
the jurisdiction,
That's
as
what
Neil has
I
just said.
wanted to get out. So we went on this whole Airbnb conversation or the short-term rental conversation. Oh, by the way, it impacts some of the stuff I'm trying to do on housing affordability on the end of it is because you can't do auxiliary dwelling units in most jurisdictions around here unless you're permanently, unless it's your owner occupied. And that,
Or grandfather claused in.
yeah, and that's where out west, if you don't mind me getting this out, that's where out west, how they solved that problem was that, you needed to be either a nonprofit or you have to sign this deed restriction and you got serious tax incentives and stuff like that to have affordable housing. But go ahead.
Say 5-bedroom house. Your overhead each month is $4,000.
Plus HOA.
How much is well, as a renter, you're not going to probably pay the HOA. How much is a hotel room in the Charlottesville area over the weekend?
Oh,
$400 a night?
that blows my mind.
Is it 400? Call it 400.
Yeah.
So 5 bedrooms times 400, right? There's 2,000.
I'm
You
going-
rent it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's 3-night rentals in this area on Airbnb. 3 nights guaranteed. You have to sign up for 3. So that's times 3, right? You got $6,000 for one weekend. You times that by 4 weekends a month, right? You just made $24,000.
I know.
That's 6 months of your rent.
I know.
If you do that 2 months, you make you gross $48,000 for 2 months.
I know.
That's your rent. Everything after that is gravy.
Yeah, but you're permanently living in it, and you're not there for these particular weekends.
No, the people that I'm doing it are not, they're renting and not living there.
Eventually, they're going to get snagged, and when they get snagged,
They pay out their rent, their lease.
and that's great, but let's say they just started and get snagged, and they have to spend 10 months, that's $40,000.
Yeah, there's some risk, just like any business, starting any business.
Sure. And I don't know what other penalties they attach to that, too.
I don't think there are any other penalties.
Yeah, I don't. Neil would know this a lot more than I do, but
It's called Airbnb arbitrage.
So, but I know people that do this, and some of them may or may not be my family members. And what they'll do is they'll rent the house out a couple of weekends and come live with us for the weekend and help offset their mortgage payment. That's legit. They're registered.
That is legit.
They're registered. They pay their tax, their room tax, and all this stuff, and they come live with Uncle Keith for a weekend.
But that
or
doesn't
two.
help the housing stock.
No. But it helps.
Because technically, if that
It helps them
particular,
afford.
It helps them afford their house. But technically, if that answer
By
was
the way,
not,
I don't charge them rent.
technically, if that solution was
probably
not
should,
there,
right?
that house probably would have been included in the for sale market.
Yeah, so the question you should be asking yourself, or I would be asking, so if I'm spending $4,000 a month, what I want to know, even at 5%, right, or if I do a 15-year rate at roughly 4%, how much house can I buy?
If you're paying $4,000 a month in rent, how much house can you buy instead of paying the $4,000 a month in
I'd
rent?
have to do the math.
I mean, I would say you'd buy a pretty nice little house.
So now,
I mean, so you're probably looking at like what, $500,000-$600,000 house there.
it depends on what the rate is and
Yeah,
all
your
that kind
credit.
of great stuff. But I've took some notes. I'll have that ready because we're doing this on Friday. It's just more Batman and Robin on Friday. So I'll make some notes to go ahead and.
He's showing us the,
Who's he?
Neil posted a link to the Airbnbs that are on the Charlottesville market. Do you know how many Airbnbs are currently listed?
Oh, hundreds and hundreds.
364
Yeah.
in the Charlottesville area.
Yeah.
The average, I'm just doing a cursory glance, home in North Downtown, $225 a night. A bungalow in
And there's a minimum, right?
Charlottesville,
Yeah.
a bungalow in Charlottesville, $530 a night, the house. $530 a night. You got $470 a night, home in Belmont. You got, I mean, think about this. You get $470 a night, 3-night guarantee. 3 times 470 is 1410 gross. 1410 gross, you do that, just say you do it legitimately, 26 weeks a year, that's half the year. Because you,
50% of the year. That's
okay,
what that
you're
number
allowed
is.
to do that. You just did 40 G's.
Well,
$37,000.
Well, they can do it every weekend. They can do 52 weekends if they wanted to, but the market isn't quite there for 52 weekends. So I mean, because there's some things that are going on or not going on, but they're living there, Jerry, right? And that's like some people I know. That's what they do. They'll vacate the house for the weekend and they'll go someplace else, or they go do a whatever and go, I'll Airbnb the house for the weekend. So they actually go away and make money.
Jamie
on the
Turner
house.
says this. He's repping the Pep and Culpeper, the mayor of Gordonsville, Jamie Turner. I have a ton of friends in Arlington who do this. They sleep on a friend's couch
Yeah.
and rent out their room on the weekends to help offset the overhead.
Yeah.
You know how we talked about what the heck are people doing and why aren't they working?
Oh, yeah.
Are they figuring out life hacks like this to keep them from doing jobs? I mean, is this how people are generating revenue here? Waffle House can't stay open because they don't have enough labor to keep the restaurant open, but Airbnb is a thriving enterprise.
I was in a discussion online, and it's not one thing. I don't think it's a mix of things. You know, where are people going? Where are people in the job market? You know, we've been asking the question: if they're not working, how are they eating? But I think part of that solution is people are
I think
sleeping
the
on friends'
unemployment
couches.
numbers are very much so underreported. I don't think that those unemployment numbers that we are fed from the government are actual unemployment numbers. Now,
Oh,
what
of
we
course
see out
not.
on the street, right, and you go to Waffle House or Bagby's or any of these other places, and they're going, look, we can't hire anybody to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, Bagby's legitimately will straight up tell you they can't get people.
They cannot get
To
people.
work.
They cannot get nobody in that specific industry. Nobody in construction can go ahead.
Patty Zeller, friend at Animal Connection.
Yep.
I mean, how many times she come in here, she said, we need team members.
But
To
then-
everybody.
but-
John Kerber, said every phone call.
I need people.
Yeah.
But it goes back to, so I'll bring it around a little bit. Our dear friend, Mr. Fairchild from Fluvanna County, Antonio
Chris
O'Brien.
Fairchild.
Chris Fairchild, dear personal friend of mine. You know, this seesaw, this balance, this scale. You know, they actually, with all my love for him, he actually thinks, well, we're going to bring in these huge employers into Zion's Crossroads area. And I can assure you it's not happening, and it's not going to happen, because I'm having conversations with them, because the first words out of their mouths are, great, you've got water, you've got high speed, you've got 64, where are my workers coming from, and where are they going to live? That's the first thing that they ask. So you can't just build that one part of the equation without building the other end of the equation. That's why live, work, play places do so well. But if they're trying to attract $20 an hour employees, right? First of all, where are you going to find them? B, where are you going to house them?
Yeah.
Right. And that this is a conversation I have with my dear friends on the elected side that are supporting this NIMBYism end of it. And it was interesting at the naturalization ceremony.
Yeah.
Dr. Friedman actually used the term NIMBY in his opening remarks, in his keynote speech, which I thought was interesting on that end of it. So that term is getting out there across and he was using it a little bit differently. About it. His reference was not necessarily on housing, is taking care of other people and so
doing the
forth.
right thing.
Doing the right thing. But you're 100% right. So if we're all of a sudden going to start trying to grow jobs, where are they going to come from, but where are they going to live? And they don't have, the people that don't want more housing don't have an answer to that. Okay, great. This great tech company wants to come, and I know it for a fact, wants to come into Zion's Crossroads with hundreds of high-paying jobs, but they're not going to come because there's no housing. They're actually going to go to Richmond, where there's a little bit more housing available, a little bit more friendly to go into the other side of the mountain to that.
Your buddy, Michael Plecker, one of the best catchers the Shenandoah Valley has ever seen.
There you go, buddy.
Hell of a backstop, Michael Plecker. Also, Mr. Fontana, Michael Plecker. The Fed numbers don't include those who dropped out of the job market.
He's talking about the employment.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And people are not, if you're not, I think, I may be wrong, if you're not applying for benefits, you don't get counted. I don't know exactly know how that, is that how that works?
No.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not applying for
You're not going to get counted.
Yeah, they don't count you as
So there's a lot of
unemployed.
people that don't apply for benefits.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that are just out of the system.
Well, that's why we've been saying on the show for so long that the actual unemployment numbers are significantly more, because there's people that are just chosen to be off the grid because they're either rebranding or reinventing themselves or transitioning into a new career or like being an entrepreneur or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Or just living with family or friends.
Yeah.
So back on the housing end of things, and I kind of want to end it a little bit on a high note on the end of it. And this may be just where Yonna and our team is at this point, because of everybody that's on our team have years and years and years of experience on the end of it. But our tempo is upticking. Our phone calls are upticking. Our texts are upticking.
Well, we're
our
happy to hear
emails
that.
are upticking because people still want to make the move. They just need to know how. This path 6 months ago is not the same path today. That one needs to go through it.
Close on this and give us about 60 seconds on this take here. Jason Howard, could Zion's Crossroads become another short pump?
No.
Hundreds of apartments built above restaurants in places like Dave and Buster's.
So unfortunately the answer is maybe yes, maybe no yes. Not on the Fluvanna County side.
No, Louisa side you could do that.
Yeah, the Louisa side you can do that. They are going to get the additional water.
They got the water.
Well, it's not there yet. It's going to probably be another 24, 36 months.
But it's coming.
But it's coming.
Yeah, that's
They
big time.
get it. They understand what they can do with it on that end of it. But, it's 100% right. They kind of get, you can't have one side of the quarter has to be one side, be jobs. The other end of the quarter has to be housing. Where are they going? Where are the workers going to live? Where are the folks that are being employed by these businesses going to live? A lot of Zion's Crossroad is transitionary, right? People coming in to go to Checkers. I mean, I drove by the other day. There was a line around the Checkers hamburger place there in Zion's Crossroads because people are hopping off of 64, hopping back out on that end of it.
This is a topic we should save for Friday. If you're a company that employs a team that is, financially blue collar, why would you or should you or would you open up a business in the Charlottesville area?
So it's really interesting. So we've been talking about first-time home buyers and then the upper end. And we've been talking about the missing middle. I think you're on to something. What about the jobs, right? So where is the jobs thing? And somebody like
where would if you have a factory or a warehouse and you have to employ people to service your factory or your warehouse or your blue collar type business, industrial, where would those people live?
So the question I'm asking is what is our business profile here? Right?
Our business profile is people associated with STEM that are 6 figures plus in income.
And
that's what this is turning into. This is turning into.
And the people that serve them.
Yeah, but they don't live here.
That's the point I'm trying to make is that to your point, and this has been systemic. This has been going on since I've been here since '87, right? But this missing middle again is not necessarily housing. It's income too, right? And this missing middle income is kind of missing on the end of it. So you have the service, entry-level service employee, and then you have these STEM where you have these upper ends and this blue. I don't think we have a quote-unquote blue collar. We have some of it, right? The framers, the electricians and stuff like that. But we don't have like a traditional blue collar like where I grew up, where you worked in a factory, your father worked in a factory, or whatever it was on that end of it. We don't have that in our jurisdiction or where we live. UVA is it, right? UVA is this.
I think UVA is that, what you're describing. A certain portion of its workforce is that.
Yeah, of course, yeah, right. But we don't. My office is in the X Park, right? It used to be
textile.
It used to be.
Much of Belmont was for X.
Folks, it was a company town.
Right.
Wasn't quote unquote a company town, but people lived in Belmont and they walked to work.
Well, production has gone overseas in a lot of areas, and
wait till data science school opens, guys. The data science school is soon to open. Wait till you have the world-class data science facility in Charlottesville, and wait till you see the positives and the collateral damage that comes from that.
So the question...
It's going to be both. It's going to be positives, but it's going to be collateral damage that comes from this.
So the question for Neil and everybody out there, are we really going to have any sizable impact on the missing middle?
No.
I'm
headwinds.
I'm a positive guy, but you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Right? You're not wrong. It's
the move-up buyer now has an 800, 900 threshold with rising rates.
But the move-up buyer, so that
they're going to stay in their house.
So we've been talking. If you can go back and look at shows from 4 years ago or 3 years ago, the buyer profile are two sides of the scale.
Yeah, millennials and boomers.
Yeah. And that isn't changing. The only difference is the millennials are going to grow and the boomers are going to decrease.
You guys are going to die.
I didn't say that.
I mean, that's what you're saying.
You're super positive today.
I mean, that's what happens. We're realistic people. People count on us not to beat around the bush.
Yeah, okay. I got to text my daughter.
What'd she say?
No. This was actually a great conversation.
I think it's a great show.
Yeah,
today was a great show.
From Seattle. She's a great show.
I love it. Judah, happy birthday. Happy birthday to Judah Wickower, everyone.
Man,
Thank you.
I really wanted to celebrate you today.
Wish Judah Wickower a happy birthday in the comment section or when you see him, please. Chad Wood, welcome to the show. We love you, Chad Wood.
What are you going to do today other than work all day?
His family's going to treat him well.
So where are you going tonight? Where's you get to pick?
We talked about this.
I don't think he really answered it.
I didn't answer that.
Yeah.
I used to go to Flaming Walk. I don't have the Flaming Walk anymore. I think last year my sisters were in town and we ended up going to I think we'd gone out to Stanton and maybe stopped in Waynesboro and found a teppanyaki place there.
There you go.
So this year, I don't know, maybe might have to give Continental Divide a try.
Continental Divide. I was there a couple Thursdays ago. Love that spot.
Tacos are my spirit animal.
Try the spicy margarita. It comes hot.
Nice.
I think you would enjoy it. And get the blues, the nachos over there. I had them. They were phenomenal. Today's show was excellent.
Yeah, I just started off wishing Judah happy birthday, and then we
had a fantastic
we got
discussion.
into a debate, which is fun. I love that.
Dynamic.
I actually really like it when we do that.
Who doesn't? It makes for great content, great talk show. Real Talk is presented by Keller Williams Alliance. The entire archive of shows can be found on realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Write that URL down, realtalkwithkeithsmith.com.
On Friday, we're going to do a little celebration of all our sponsors. We haven't done that in a while.
Friday, we're going to highlight the partners of the program here with
How
Real
they
Talk with
make
Keith
our
Smith.
industry better.
I love it. You make the industry better. Judah, you did well today, per usual. My name is Jerry Miller, Real Talk, and yes, Realty Partners, 2 trusted names in the game, guys. We'll see you with the I Love CVille show in 50 minutes. Take care. Excellent. Judah, for you.